healthy, as he will be out at least 1 to 2 weeks with a groin strain. Meanwhile, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander might have ended the MVP conversation, dropping 40 in the 127-103 win against the Denver Nuggets. Jokic had 24 and 13. The two teams face off tonight again. Here's Tim Legler on this red-hot Thunder team. Timmy. Jay Sharpe, talk to me. Who had the better weekend, OKC or Boston?
I'm going to go OKC. Like I said, the other night, they gave their top 4 guys the night off, and it was their role players that did the job, and they won. And they won yesterday. It's how they won. With a 41-point fourth quarter against the Denver Nuggets. And look, we know Denver is not an outstanding defensive team, but man, Shai doing what he does. You get Jalen Williams, and you got 3 or 4 guys off the bench that can consistently give you 20 points. They've been very impressive. Like Leg said, and when he was talking last night, they've been equally as impressive, because it looks like we're going to have 2 teams winning that might win 70 games. We've never had that before. But OKC, with the way they're playing in shape, most 20, 30, 40, 50-point games, the consistency in which he's playing. Jalen Williams looked like he's going to be an all-NBA player this year. They got 2 big guys that can battle you on the glass, that can challenge shots, and defensively, they can defend on the wing. You bring in Isaiah Joe, Wiggins can score. You got Lou Dort. Man, OKC, I was very, very impressed. I got 5 on it.
How about Jason Tatum this weekend?
Sensational.
You know, last week they had that.
On LeBron and Luka, 40. 40.
They lost that game to Cleveland. They've got some
Whatever.
issues with the way they can hold the lead. That's why they're vulnerable. But Tatum scores 46 in that game against Cleveland last weekend. This weekend, the Lakers are flying high. He comes in there just, you know what? Here's the thing. I don't even think he played an A-level game.
He didn't.
I mean, you know, he had 40. Tremendous. And also, I applaud Shannon for pointing out the depth, because he is exactly right. The difference between these teams at the top and the teams that are trying to get there is that depth. And Al Horford is a piece of that depth. This is a guy who's about to turn 39 years old, who was the centerpiece of a game plan against one of the hottest teams in the league. And it was very prudent, and it worked very well. They used Al Horford as a weapon. They didn't have Kristaps Porzingis because he's been dealing with an illness. They need a big man against the Lakers, and they can just go to that gear with Al Horford. He can't do this every night. They don't need him to do it every night. But this is why the Celtics are going to be so hard to beat 4 out of 7. Because they have the ability to go to an Al Horford. They have the availability to use Jrue Holiday as an attack dog defensively. They have the availability to rely on Derek White when Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are having off nights. They have Peyton Pritchard come off the bench. Their redundancy and their margin for error is why, to me, they have remained the favorite to win this entire season.
I get where you're coming from. I understand it. But I'm going to go with OKC on this one. Did you see Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who also didn't have the greatest game?
That's true.
But he still dropped 40.
He did.
Do you see, Malika Andrews came up with the nickname Shea Butter. I love it. Because, the brothers, but he is so special. This is who did MVP to be. Okay, should have been. He was my MVP last year. He's going to be my MVP this year. He's going to win it this year because he deserves it. And then you see Jalen Williams. I called upon him to come alive in the second half, because SGA needs your help, baby. What does he do? He shows up in the second half. He does his thing. You see, they got size. They got shot blocking ability. They've got defensive prowess. Look at this right here. NBA rankings in defense and hustle categories. Number 1 in defensive efficiency, field goal percentage defense, 3-point percentage defense, steals per game, turnovers forced per game, points off turnovers per game, deflections per game, loose balls recovered per game, charges drawn per game. Damn. This is the Oklahoma City Thunder. So I get what you're saying. OKC, UFC, KFC. OKC and 5.
How about
OKC and 5.
SGA MVP?
Yes, I'm just saying.
All right, guys, we got to leave it there because I've got a special treat for you coming up. Big men are getting some big deals this off.
20 games remaining for most teams. Teams 2 through 5 out west, jam-packed together. OKC could clinch the top seed as early as this weekend. It really is inevitable. All right, to that number 2 team in the Western Conference, LeBron James expected to miss at least 1 to 2 weeks with a growing strain. That, according to what sources are telling our Shannon Sharpe. LeBron downplayed the injury after Saturday night's loss in Boston. Sham says the Lakers are bracing to be without him for a period of time and will be cautious as they hang on to that 2 seed out west. To dive more into it, NBA reporter Dave McMenamin joining the program. Mac-10, fantastic to see you. When could we get a clearer timeline on LeBron's recovery?
Gary, the Lakers training staff are allowing the groin injury for LeBron to, quote, calm down before they seek medical imaging. So that could be the course of a couple days before we learn more about what the strain is, whether it's a grade 1, grade 2. Obviously, grade 3 would be pretty devastating, but that's not the expectation here. In the meantime, as you mentioned, sources have told both me and Sham Sharania that his absence is expected to be measured in weeks and not days. And so the Lakers have this tough stretch ahead of them, 6 games in the course of 8 days starting on Thursday, and they could be missing LeBron for the entirety of that stretch.
You're talking about it's measured in weeks. We have about 4 weeks left in the regular season, so we're running up against it. Lakers are second in the West. They have Luka for times like this. What is LA's approach here without LeBron going forward?
You know, a team source told me that it's business as usual, that they've already had to establish a next up mentality throughout the entire season, and this will only extend to the period that they're facing right now. There was no outside of the ordinary messaging that was delivered to the team as they had their meetings from Boston to New York in preparation for this Nets game, and certainly they had already begun to put the ball in Luka's hands. He's on a stretch right now, averaging over 30 points and 10 assists over his last 4 games. They're just going to continue to have him be the hub of the offense, and certainly the fact that they got Austin Reeves back from that that hamstring injury that he was feeling before LeBron had to go out is a benefit, because this will now be Luka and AR shouldering the load of the Lakers offense while LeBron's getting right.
Man, and that offense is going to have to be working overtime. LA has 7 games in the next 11 days, 2 against Milwaukee and 2 against Denver, who right now they're evened up with second seed in the Western Conference. That's Dave McMenamin joining us with the latest this morning on Sportscenter. Mac-10, much appreciated. All right, finish of the night, though, coming from out west, the storied California rivalry between the Kings and the Clippers. But actually right now, 9 seed Sacramento, 8 seed LA, final seconds regulation, we're tied.
Tiếp theo là mình sẽ gặp đằng này vào nha.